Joe Biden's poll numbers are dipping quite a bit, especially among black voters who had previously supported him, and then the debates happened. Now, Reuters has just released the results of their latest poll, and they find that support for Biden among blacks, a critical Democratic voting bloc, was cut in half, with about 2 out of 10 saying they backed President Barack Obama's former vice president, compared with 4 out of 10 in the June poll. So part of the reason why that happened is because of a number of missteps that we've seen from Biden. You know, how boastful he was in regard to working alongside segregationists. And then he said, well, it's not that I like them, it's that I had to work with them in order to accomplish things. And the things that he accomplished were, fighting back or pushing back against busing to integrate schools. So he was called out on that. And I wanna just quickly remind you of how that went down during the Democratic debate.
I do not believe you are a racist. And I agree with you when you commit yourself to the importance of finding common ground. But I also believe, and it's personal, and I was actually it was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of 2 United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing. And there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me.
Man, okay, look, a couple of things out of this. Biden didn't do himself any favors in any of these responses. He should have known that this topic could come up, and he was not at all prepared. And then when she does the line that I could tell was coming, I literally said to Anna, it was her before she said it, right? And she said, that little girl was me. And Biden goes, as if he's in a soap opera, like he's been caught, like, right? And then he went on to argue, no, I wasn't in favor of mandatory busing, I was in favor of voluntary busing. As other African American leaders pointed out later, there is no, everybody's in favor of voluntary busing, that's not a thing. Who's gonna stop you if you wanna bus and the community agrees? The whole point is, the federal government mandates certain things like they did in the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act, so the South will actually follow federal law. And so in his case, it's Delaware, but all of these civil rights legislations had to be federally mandated. So Biden's argument was for states' rights, which was at the time the racist argument.
Absolutely.
And so he just got obliterated there.
He got obliterated. That was the more substantive response. But don't forget, the other part of his response was Kamala is a cop, right? He called her out for being a prosecutor, which I thought was incredibly strange. Because I mean, look, if you're, let's say you're a progressive candidate who wants to bring up her prosecutorial record and some of the issues that arose from that record. That's one thing, but that's not what he did. You're a cop, you were a cop.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, and I was a public defender. But that actually also hurt his cause, because one of the reasons Kamala Harris has gained in the polls now, and I'm gonna give you more, including Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, where they stand. But she gained in the polls because people are looking for strength, and they're looking for who can take on Trump in a debate.
That's right.
So a lot of the politicians are too polite, and they're like, oh, my beloved colleague, and I wouldn't want to hurt their feelings, and civility, and we're all in the same club, and we're all on the same team. And what Senator Harris proved there is, look, if need be, I'm gonna cut you.
Absolutely, and the fact that he didn't expect that was mind-blowing to me, because I'm gonna be honest, anytime there's a confirmation hearing or something involving Kamala Harris asking questions to some terrible person like Brett Kavanaugh, I'm all in. I'm like Chris Hayes, I wanna watch. Because I know that her line of questioning is gonna be strong. She has a lot of experience there. Now, look, I'm saying this as an isolated part of her characteristics, right? I don't wanna get into all the issues that we've had with her record. We've talked about that before. But in terms of debating and questioning someone, she's really good at that. And I think what I saw in that debate from Biden was this weird level of arrogance, as if he's got it in the bag, he doesn't really need to prepare, he doesn't really need to worry about a thing. But you do have to worry about it. I mean, you shouldn't assume that it's gonna be smooth sailing ahead for you.
Yeah. So look, I think that the reason that Biden focused on civility is because for 40 straight years now, Democrats have been surrendering to Republicans and calling it civility, and Biden is a big part of that. If he had brought the segregationists more to the progressive side or the civil rights side, then I'd give Biden credit and say, okay, look, I wouldn't have enjoyed the process, but I'm glad he brought them to our side. But unfortunately, he didn't. He went to their side on busing, and that has happened on issue after issue. Michael Bennet caught him on an even arguably just as important issue, let's put it that way. And it was about how he gave in to Mitch McConnell and made 94% of the Bush tax cuts permanent in a way that they didn't need to. Again, Biden going towards the Republicans. So he's expecting civility because he's used to Democrats who surrender nonstop like him. And so when Kamala didn't surrender, he was like, what happened? I remember seeing this movie, it might've been Chucky's Bride or whatever. So the little thing's hiding under the bed and slits the guy's Achilles heels. Okay, the little thing, whatever it is.
That gave me nightmares as a kid.
I know, right? And I remember their Achilles heels get slit and the guy goes, whoa, because he can't stand straight anymore. And and that's what happened to Biden over there because he didn't see it coming. And don't say she's a prosecutor after she kicked your ass. It makes her look tougher.
Right.
All right, last thing. So Kamala Harris in this particular poll, it's a Reuters poll, goes up by 6 points overall. And she's now in the top 4. In fact, the top 3. But Elizabeth Warren did go up by a point. In some other polls, she stayed even or went down by a point, even though she had a great first night. She won the first debate by a bigger margin, according to the polling, than Kamala Harris won the second debate. So it's at least good to see in one of the polls, Warren rose, and Sanders actually stayed where he is too, or actually went up a point. In this poll, finally, I'm right for the first time, the other polls didn't show this, Buttigieg went down. Because he admitted, yeah, I messed up South Bend and that's the only thing I've ever done. Okay, but he remained neutral or was positive in the other polls. I'm trying to give you the full context. But at the end of the day, Biden going down, Warren and Sanders either going up by a little bit, Kamala Harris going up by a lot. It's not such a bad day for progressives. And now Biden's hurt dog. Don't ask him if he's all right. He doesn't have any Achilles heels anymore. So, I mean, he already had one and she took him out. So he's in big trouble. Damn. And if this trajectory continues, we're gonna see a lot of this.
Damn, KamalaHarris.com/Biden.
Okay, she did slash. Okay, there she is. By the way, that's not a real website. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below. Then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.